Good evening. My name is Anubha Bhonsle. The election season has officially begun, and there are two newsworthy stories that need your continued attention and time. Number one is the electoral bonds data, which we are continuously tracking. And the second story is the Citizenship Amendment Act, or the CAA, which became a reality recently. Now, there are questions many of you have sent our way about the CAA. So think of this video as a primer on all things CAA. Joining me will be my colleague Aditi Murti. Let's start. The basics are this. The CAA gives Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, and Parsi migrants from Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Bangladesh who entered this country before the 31st of December 2014 all the clarity they need about the procedures and paperwork required to apply for Indian citizenship. Now, as you know, many of these communities came to India amid strife, and they have been living in different parts of the country for years. So the one big repeated question that's come our way is this: can the states refuse to implement the CAA? The simple answer is no, they cannot. Citizenship matters are controlled by the central government. But yes, state governments, of course, can come forward and voice their objections by going to the Supreme Court, as the Kerala government has done. In fact, there are more states like West Bengal and Tamil Nadu, who have said that they are going to oppose it. The second question: why was December 31st, 2014 really chosen as the cutoff date? The answer is we don't know. The government has not really officially provided a rationale for this cutoff date. In fact, this has raised another unanswered question, so to speak. If the CAA's goal is to really help religious minorities in these three countries, what happens about eligible victims who may face persecution and flee after 2014? Well, for now, we don't know the answer to that question. Aditi.
Why is Assam protesting the CAA in a very different way? Over the past several decades, Assam has seen a lot of migration, especially from neighboring Bangladesh. This led to worries about a potential change in the demographics of the state, leading to ethno-religious, social, and political conflict. To solve this, the Assam Accords were signed in 1985. These accords were then implemented by Section 6A of the Citizenship Act. These accords established the National Registry of Citizens, a process whereby the citizenship of a person is determined by virtue of the documentation they can provide. The Assam Accords aims to deport all migrants without proper documents who came into India after 24th March 1971. Here's the conflict. The CAA has pushed this date to 2014. Now, last year, the Supreme Court heard a case about Section 6A and reserved its verdict. The decision from the top court will decide which deadline remains, 1971 or 2014. Does the CAA only exclude Muslim refugees? No. The CAA also excludes persecuted refugees from other religions, including the Sri Lankan Tamils, the Tibetan Buddhists, and the Karachi Jews. Also a note, Muslims are not a monolith. There are several persecuted Muslim minorities, especially from the three countries included under the CAA, including the Ahmadiyas, the Hazaras, and Shia Muslims, plus the Rohingya Muslims from Myanmar, which is not included in the CAA. What happens if my CAA application is rejected? Like any other citizenship application, if your application under CAA is rejected, you can always appeal the process. If your appeal fails, you can once again apply for citizenship. While you're doing this process, your legal status remains unchanged. For example, if you're a visa holder, you remain a visa holder. Is the CAA a pan-India rule? Yes, with some exceptions. The CAA will not be implemented in areas that require an inner line permit. This is Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Mizoram, and Manipur. The CAA will also not be implemented in areas under the 6th schedule of the Constitution, which provides for the autonomous administration of some tribal areas in Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, and Mizoram. This is only to safeguard the interests of tribal communities in India. What this exemption means is that if any person does become a citizen under CAA, they don't get special rights like land ownership and the right to settle in tribal areas, quite like every other citizen in India. Why are opposition parties calling the CAA unconstitutional? The CAA picks 5 religions from 3 nations and gives them a way to fast-track their citizenship. As of now, more than 200 petitions are pending before the Supreme Court saying that the CAA violates the constitutional right to equality. Now, the court has the responsibility to decide if the CAA does violate the right to equality and leave out certain communities, or if it's an actual viable law that aids persecuted minorities. Does the CAA mean that Muslim refugees cannot seek Indian citizenship? In a now deleted press release, the Home Ministry said that Muslims from all around the world can seek Indian citizenship through the naturalization process. This means residing in India for 12 years and renouncing all other nationalities. In 2003, the Citizenship Act was amended to prohibit all illegal migrants from acquiring citizenship of India via naturalization or marriage. This included all religions, including Muslims. Just so you know, illegal migrants is the term the government uses officially to talk about individuals who live in a country or entered a country without proper documentation. In 2016, the government amended the act again, this time to exempt Hindu, Sikh, Jain, Buddhist and Parsi illegal immigrants who came to India from Afghanistan, Pakistan and Bangladesh before December 31st, 2014. So as of now, if you are a foreign Muslim individual who came to India to seek refuge without proper documentation and have overstayed your visa, there is no avenue to seek citizenship via naturalization.
Now, one question that's really dominated the headlines is, will existing Indian citizens lose their citizenship? Will Muslims lose their citizenship? In one word, the answer is no. But there's a subtext to why sections of society are worried. Home Minister Amit Shah has said several times that there is a chronology to the government's policies towards removing illegal migrants from the country, or as he calls them, infiltrators from the country. In 2019, he laid out this chronology very clearly.
पहले सीए भी होगा, सिटीजनशिप अमेंडमेंट बिल आएगा, सारे रिफ्यूजी को, सारे शरणार्थियों को नागरिकता दिया जाएगा, उसके बाद में एनआरसी बनेगा. इसलिए जो शरणार्थी है उसको चिंता करने की जरूरत नहीं है, घुसपैठियों को जरूर चिंता करने की जरूरत है. आप क्रोनोलॉजी समझ लीजिए.
So the concern is the repercussions of CAA plus NRC. Let's take the example of Assam and try and explain this a little better. I mentioned this earlier in the video that the NRC was implemented in 2013-14 in Assam, whereby the citizenship status was tested on the basis of documents that were provided. 19 lakh residents were excluded from the list, effectively stripping them of their citizenship. The majority of these were Hindu. They are now appealing this before courts that was set up under the Foreigners Tribunal's Order 1964. Now, under the CAA, most of these Hindus, if not all, will be able to fast-track their Indian citizenship and remove the risk of being detained or disenfranchised. But the rest, who didn't make it to the NRC, including Muslims, who may have lived in India for just as long, well, there is no such similar pathway for them. Just to be clear, both the NRC and the tribunal order are pan-India laws. But the centre is saying that there is no pan-India NRC implementation for now, and the CAA is not linked to the NRC. We must though add that this clarification by the government came after nationwide CAA NRC protests. I'm going to stop here for now. We've received a handful of more questions which we don't have answers to because the government simply has not weighed in on them. We're of course tracking them very closely. that if this video has helped you understand the CAA better and what's really at stake better, please share it with your friends and family. From our entire team here at Newsworthy, thank you so much for all your time.